my name is Cindy and welcome to my channel. And this video is going to be about homeschooling. So a couple of months ago, I did a little talk with a group in my area, and we talked all about homeschooling and why we should homeschool and just some little facts for people that might be new to the idea. And I live in the state of New Hampshire, so some of the information is going to be given to you from my state, but it also can be applied to your own state. You can just look up on your computer and find out what the rules are in your state for homeschooling and use what I have to say here and just kind of apply it to where you live. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you this little PowerPoint that I made up for this purpose. And welcome to my Marigold Homeschoolers Talk. So in our state right now, we have a group called the Marigold Coffee Club. And in this group, we do all things just to help us during this difficult time, 2020, 2021. We've kind of gathered together and made a community. And these are just like-minded people from all walks of life, and we've just come together as friends to share different tips and tricks that we can use to cope during this time. And one of the things that we have done is we've talked about homeschooling as a possibility. And this is a PowerPoint that I made up so that we could discuss it with our friends and just see if this might be something that they would like to do. Now, our group is called the Marigold Coffee Club, and if you're in New Hampshire, you're welcome to look us up and maybe see what we're up to. And we do different activities. We have potlucks together, and we talk about different things that are going on in our state and how we can help each other as a community. And you can look it up on marigoldcoffeeclub.org. And I have that listed here. And this is the Marigold Coffee Club Homeschooling 101. So this is for people that are just kind of new to the idea and want a little bit of knowledge to get started. And you'll see at the bottom, it says marigoldcoffeeclub.org. And this is presented by myself, Cindy Bennett. And I had a friend that was working with me on it, and she made up a really great PDF, which I will link below. If you live in the state of New Hampshire, you can get this PDF for free, and it gives you lots of links for homeschooling in our state. And if you don't live in New Hampshire, you could look at it and see if you could maybe look at it and see if you could find something in your area that is similar. And this is my family. I have a BS in math education. I've been a wife for 37 years. I'm a teacher. I went to school to be a math teacher and got my degree in 1980. What year was it? 1985. And so I have homeschooled through the years. I have taught in Christian schools. I teach online now, so I'm also a virtual teacher. And I love crafts, and I committed to God and His will for my life. Just a few weeks ago, I was at the Capitol, and we were talking about the critical race theory and how this is damaging to the students in our schools. And I was interviewed by the Epic Times. It was really an honor for me to be interviewed, and they also put it in the paper here. And I've been a resident of New Hampshire. I was born in New Hampshire, spent a few years out of the state, going to college and doing other things, but now I've been back in New Hampshire for many years, and I've homeschooled all my kids. My oldest two kids were in public school for a few months, and that's it. So they've been out of the public school, and mostly it's because that I don't agree with the philosophies that have been promoted throughout the years. So that's what homeschooling becomes to me. And here I have another PowerPoint with a little video, and you can listen.
Just be. Please avoid. It can't just be there's crime in America. Crime is always going to exist.
Yeah,
we got to deal with that.
Let me give you two things we can do to reduce the crime rate among all demographic groups, but especially among African American youth. Number one, we're sending too many of our young people to schools that are failure factories. Let me tell you, if I were king for a day, here's what I would do. I would turn to all of the parents of our kids below a certain socioeconomic level of all races, and I'd say, here's the money that the state is putting up to pay for the school that you're going to. I'm giving you the money, not the school. Use it anywhere you want to. If you want to go to a charter school, go. If you want to go to a private school, here's the money. We have to have more freedom of choice and more competition in education. Number two, family formation. Nobody wants to talk about it. I'm not saying a single parent can't be a good mom or dad, but a child who grows up in a single parent family is 6 times more likely to grow up in poverty than a child grows up in a 2-parent family. Yeah. And that is just a fact. And we've got to start talking about it.
Senator, I have been vocal, been fighting for school choice my entire career and reforms in the system. So I support you on that, but I look forward to seeing the Republicans form a response. Tim Scott had a bill there, but that is a federal bill. I want to see something on the local level, and I'll invite you.
Well, there you have it. We need to see something on the local level, and we need to work this in our communities. It's not necessarily going to be fixed by the federal government. Okay, so we need to be careful of how we address the situation. We know that the schools are not doing a good job. How are we going to fix it? This slide here shows us what we are facing in the public schools. We are facing inoculations, and we do have a religious exemption in New Hampshire, but we are losing our own health freedom even in our schools. We have laws going into place for the women's sports is going to be kind of ruined here, and we have philosophies of teaching that we may not agree with. And even the food in our town, they're saying kids can't even bring their own food to school. They have to eat the food that the school provides, which that could be a good thing on some days, but it could be bad on other days. And every kid has a different type of need for their food. So this could be good and this could be bad. So we need to be careful that we have our own choice on what our kids can actually even eat at school. Patriotism is going by the wayside. They're changing our history in the public schools, and even philosophies are being taught. And that actually was not supposed to be the case. We're supposed to be learning education, not religion. So many other things. I'm sure you can think of some other reasons why the public schools are failing our kids. This next slide shows what we can do in our own homeschool. Okay, we can get our Bibles out. We can teach our kids what the Bible says, what God says in His Word. We can also pray. We can pray together. We can meet up with friends, and we can have all the activities we want. We can find our own basketball. We can have our gardening. We can do crafts, any kind of talents that our kids want to get involved in. We have the time when we homeschool to do that. This past year, my kids were able to learn skiing and snowboarding for the very first time. We can be in control of what they learn. We can be in control of what philosophers they listen to and the history that they study. And we can also teach them to love our forefathers who gave us this great country. This is the greatest country on earth, and we should be proud of it, not embarrassed. And we should not let the people of today ruin what the people of yesterday have provided for us. This is an interesting quote by Candace Owen. She says, "Homeschooling was a way of the past, and it is now the way of the future." Organize. Do not let this government raise your children. Okay, so it could be that things change for the better at some point, but right now we need to make the steps to teach our kids what's right and teach our kids what we as parents want to teach our kids. How about you? What are your reasons for homeschooling? I'm sure you have some, and you probably can think of a lot more than what I've just listed. Now, how do we homeschool? In New Hampshire, the laws are pretty good for homeschooling. You can educate your children at home with without a lot of trouble. And as I have in the slide, it says education is the parent's responsibility. You have the right to educate your own child. You hire the school or any other entity to school your child. In New Hampshire, the law says that you need to contact someone with your intent. So you can contact your SAU of your own town, or you can contact someone at the State House. You can also use a Christian school or other private school to say, hey, I'll be your umbrella. You can report to me for your homeschooling. And at the end of the year, you need to provide an evaluation, which will show some type of progress. And that's all the law requires. You can take a standardized test if you would like to. And there are some really good tests out there that just are very standard and, shows that your kid is on level. Or you can also go to another teacher and you can get a letter from them that your student has made progress. And you put that in your file in case someone needs to ask you a question about your homeschooling, and you have it all set and ready to go. This is a link to education.nh.gov, and you can find there the regulations and all of the different stipulations that I just mentioned that are necessary for a homeschool program. And keep in mind that you can either start the year homeschooling, you can take your child out of school and start homeschooling at any time. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. If there's some reason why you want to homeschool and it's only a couple months into the year, you can go ahead and do that. You have the freedom in New Hampshire to do that. Other states may have other ways of regulating that. But in America, for the most part, you can homeschool. You just might have different rules in different states. So there are different ways to homeschool. And I kind of made this different types of coffee because this was the coffee club PowerPoint. And I like the kind of analogies here. Methods are many. So you might have a different type of homeschool for every family that you meet. And you might have the espresso type homeschooling where they unschool. Okay, so that means that they might take any kind of lifestyle and they just become it instead of reading books and answering questions or using computers or whatever. They just make it their life. I have a friend who she taught her son how to observe bears in the wild. And he did that so often and got to know the bears so well that by the time he was in high school, he wrote his own book and is also on Amazon. He also became a ranger, park ranger, and that's his life's work. So unschooling can take on many different types of styles, but it can be very effective. It doesn't mean that you just sit around and don't do school. It just means that you don't use conventional school methods. Okay, and then the iced coffees, you might have school in a box where you say, I like this curriculum. You go and you order it and everything comes all in a box for you. The books, teacher books, student books, questions, answers, and all that kind of stuff. I call that school in a box, and there are many companies that have that available. There's also the co-op and trade schools. Okay, so you can get involved in a co-op in your community where you might go and other parents kind of trade off their talents for the kids. And there's also trade schools where you can go and, your kids can participate in that, plumbing, heating, electrical, that kind of stuff. You also can have your own mixture. Like you could take a little bit of each of these, or you could kind of do your own thing. I know in my state, there's also available virtual learning academy where you go online and you do all of your classes online, and it's kind of an online school, but you also have a teacher that you're reporting to and that watches over your work and that kind of thing. And that has grown in the last few years by leaps and bounds. There are many reasons why kids would homeschool, and not just I wanted to come out of the public school, but there are also ways where kids can do dual enrollment, where they can start taking college classes in 11th and 12th grade, and they can get ahead on their college education. So there are many different methods. And like I said, I will post below a link to a PDF that you can get some ideas of different links and different available resources in New Hampshire. And you're welcome to it if you live in another state, and maybe you could look for those types of resources in your state as well. So there's no need to recreate the wheel. There are many support resources available. There are many now. We have online groups, there are local groups, you have YouTube, you have local activities. Many different places are making it easy for homeschool families to learn things, to participate in things, and to become a part of their community. Don't forget the churches also. Get involved in a good church, and you have a lot of things available and resources for kids there as well. So you could also form your own group. We're trying to form a group, the Marigold Coffee Club Homeschool Group. And if you're interested, you could reach out to me. There are other groups also already available and already doing things, and just kind of, meet up with another family or two families and become your own group. And, the socialization is important. I don't take that lightly. And, some people say, if you homeschool, what about socialization? That is definitely a big part of life. And so I would not encourage you to neglect that. But with homeschooling, you can kind of choose your own friends and choose your crowd. Also, when should I start? Well, right now. When should I start? Now is a great time to get started. We have the Marigold Coffee Club for homeschoolers, and you're welcome to reach out to me in any way that you would like, and I would love to help you with the homeschool process. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please post below. If you're a homeschooler, thank you for watching. And if you have any more ideas that you did not see in this PowerPoint, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being interested in homeschooling. I know that homeschooling is not for everyone. I know that in our state, we also have a lot of good private schools, charter schools, Christian schools, and those are also options. But they all do cost a lot of money. So in our family, we've kind of chosen at different times to homeschool because, I can help the kids at home, but there's also been times that we've gone out to school and I've been able to teach, and then my kids were able to go to school. So there are many options, but I would encourage you to be careful about the government schools, because there are a lot of philosophies that are coming through into our schools that are kind of disturbing. And if you are a parent that you are connected to the public school and you want to send your kids there, I would encourage you to be involved and know what's going on there and be a part of the process. Don't just drop your kids off and send them to school. Be a part of the process. Be a help to your community and to the schools, and make sure that we watch these kids because they are our future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.